Scouting is teaching high integrity leadership to young people, and now we all know the Scout oath and law, as well as honesty and values and hard work and dedication and truthfulness and things that you don't necessarily learn in school. If the leaders of the future bring these skills, and I hope that they do, I hope they're all Scouts, how do you envision our country with that leadership 10, 20, and 30 years from now?
Oh, I would just say that it's heartening. If we could have all Scouts, I'd be all for that. Maybe not 100%, but certainly pretty close to it. We'll clap for that. And the reason is, of course, that Scouts do put other people first. They're not thinking about themselves. But President Bill Clinton said something interesting after he left. I think it might have been while he was still president. He said, there is nothing wrong about America that what is right about America cannot fix. Well, Scouting is what's right about America. So, I mean, it's almost like an algebraic equation. If you take Scouting values and you make that equal America's public life as far as our public leaders, think of how much more we're going to trust each other, how much more affection we'll have for each other, how much less contempt or scorching rhetoric will be what our children see on TV about national leaders who are infants in their mentality, even if their age puts them up there with my age. The Scouting approach would be very heartening. Can I say one last story?
Please, please.
I was a two-star
They don't want you to leave, so you keep going. I got the audience on my side. Heather's another thing, but the audience is on our side here.
Yeah, I've got a class. Condi Rice really hates missing this, by the way, and I'm going to go back and tell her all about it.
We'll see her next year.
Yeah, I'll tell her so.
She doesn't know, but she will this afternoon.
I was a two-star general out in western Iraq in the summer of 2004. And it was just hot. Some of you will remember names like Fallujah, Ramadi, Haditha. This was the area that I had fewer troops, by the way, to cover an area the size of North Carolina than North Carolina had police officers, to give you an idea. And we had an active insurgency. Every day I'm losing sailors and Marines. We're fighting like the Dickens. And we go out. I've got 29 sailors and Marines who run me all over this huge battlefield. And in a matter of 4 months, 17 of those 29 lads would be killed or wounded around me. And I'm a two-star general. I'm not in the tough fighting. I'm not in the infantry units down there duking it out. So I pull in about midnight out near the Syrian border to what's called the screen line. And these were outposts about 10 kilometers apart. Second lieutenant, probably 18 months out of undergraduate time with 40 sailors and Marines. And they patrol back and forth along the border, connected to each other, just like the old Crusader forts, for those of you who studied Syria and the Crusades. And basically, they're trying to stop the foreign fighters from getting into Baghdad. And if they get in from the Bekaa Valley in Lebanon, from Syria, there's going to be dead U.S. soldiers, there's going to be dead Iraqi civilians. So I pull in, it's about midnight because we had to fight our way there. And when the sun comes up, we're sitting in the dirt, me and the lieutenant, and he's explaining where he's fighting, what's going on, where he's lost troops, where he's killed enemy, that sort of thing. He said, by the way, he said, last night we picked up a guy putting an IED on the road you drove in on. Well, that's kind of personal, you know? And he said he spent over 2 years as an engineer student in London. He speaks perfectly good English. You want to talk to him? I said, sure. So the lieutenant got done briefing me, and he left. And pretty soon a Marine comes over with a rifle in the back of a guy who had his hands handcuffed together with little plastic handcuffs. And I motioned him to sit down in the dirt next to me. And we're both sitting there, and I could tell he was Sunni. I said, you're Sunni and we're the Marines. Why are you trying to kill us? We're the only friends you've got in this country right now. And he started in on one of those, oh, you Jews, you Americans, you're here to steal the oil. And I said, no, actually, we're not. Every time I pull in to gas up my car, I pull out my wallet. But you're an educated man, so just why don't you go away if you're going to talk like that? I don't want to waste my time. And the Marine stepped forward to take him away, and the guy says, can I stay here? Can I sit here just a minute? I said, okay. The Marine stepped back, and finally he said, I don't like having foreign soldiers in my country. Well, man to man, I respect that. I wouldn't want foreign soldiers in my country with weapons and all that. And I said, well, okay, but you shouldn't have done this. And I said, where's your family? And he said, well, we got forced out of Baghdad by the Civil War, rented a house over on the river about 10 kilometers away, wife and 2 daughters. So we talked some more and everything, and he says, am I going to jail? And I said, oh, yeah. You're going to be wearing an orange jumpsuit in Abu Ghraib for a good long time for this little stunt. You're lucky you're not dead. And it hadn't been a good night for him. You know, I mean, he's out there digging a hole. And he's got his 2 artillery rounds in a wheelbarrow, and he looks up. There's 5 guys with automatic rifles trained on him. And he knows his 401k is in deep jeopardy for you investment advisors, you know, that sort of thing. And so, but the sun's getting up. It's time for me to move on. It's another 125-degree day with 90% humidity in the western Iraqi desert. He says, can I ask you one last question? And I want you all to listen to this question, ladies and gentlemen, because I was so proud of my sailors and Marines. I love them. So the only reason I stuck around that low-paying outfit so long was to serve alongside those rambunctious, selfless, in many ways, like Boy Scout kind of values kind of people. And that's the power of intimidation. America needs that in this imperfect world, no doubt about it. But we also have the power of inspiration. And his question to me was, do you think if I'm a model prisoner, do you think my family and I could emigrate to America someday? Now stop and think about, on the day your beloved country has most disappointed you, has broken your pea-picking heart, when you're so angry at the neighbor next door who's got a different candidate sign in the front yard, you remember on our worst day, our inspiration could reach halfway around the world and touch the heart of an enemy who's literally trying to kill us, but America's example cannot be denied. And keep the faith. There's nothing wrong with America that what's right about America can't fix. Thanks very much, ladies and gentlemen.